Hi everyone, and welcome back to Kimbo's Comfort Kitchen. And today we are going to do Danish red cabbage, or stewed red cabbage, or as the Danes call it, Rodkaal. Yes, you heard me correctly, it's called Rodkaal. So it's very easy to make. It's a great accompaniment with some of our festive dishes, one of which is a roasted pork loin with crackling, which I also have on my site if you're interested in learning how to make that one. But they marry beautifully. You can also have it with other meats as well, of course, pork chops or whatever every day. But this one is different, A, because it's not packaged in a jar. It's got a great texture to it. It keeps well. You can even freeze it if you like, but it keeps well in the fridge for a couple of weeks. So let's get going. Okay, everybody, let's get started on the famous Rodkaal, or Danish cabbage as we say in English. So it's pretty basic. I've got some rendered duck fat and some butter. You don't have to use duck fat. You could use just straight butter, and all the ingredient portions are on my website. And I'm using brown sugar, and I'm using apple cider vinegar, and lastly, quite often in a traditional recipe, it's a red currant jelly. But for my purposes today, because I can't get any red currant jelly, or I couldn't before, I'm now using black currant concentrate, and I actually prefer the black currant concentrate over the red currant jelly, just simply because it seems to marry better, but that's just my opinion. Now, one of the things you need to get going on here with is, first of all, you can see I've split it. Make sure your knives are really sharp for this, because red cabbage is pretty tough. So I'm going to take out the core first. It's the white stuff, like that. And I've already taken off the outer skin and leaves. And I'm going to take one of my favorite knives, and we're just going to simply slice this. Like so. And like I said, you want to make darn sure your knives are sharp. Okay, so we're going to cut this into more manageable slices, like this. And I'm going to go through it and see if there's any big white pieces. You know what? This is actually pretty good, so I'm just going to leave this alone. And I'll chop the rest up, and we'll move on to the next step. All right, so I've warmed the pot up. As I said, this is not a very complicated dish, but it almost seems silly to make a video of it, but I've had a lot of requests of people saying that they would like to know the details. And so how could I refuse? Well, I could have, but I didn't. Anyway, so that was the duck fat with the butter, and this is the black currant concentrate, apple cider vinegar, and I'm using brown sugar. Now, a lot of Danes would use white sugar, but I prefer using a more natural sugar than a processed white. So instead we're using a demerara. Just stir that, get everything mixed up. And we simply put all the cabbage into the pot. Did I mention we call this Rodkaal? Yeah, I know. I'm trying to say that 3 times fast. Maybe if you have a little bit of aquavit, it might come a little easier. So just stir this up a bit to start with. This is going to sit for at least an hour on simmer. I've started off on high. As soon as I get everything well mixed, look at the beautiful purple coming out in that, isn't it? Just gorgeous. Not to mention healthy. Did I mention how healthy it was? My God. All the antioxidants in here, you won't be able to stand yourself. Okay, so just gonna put a lid on it, so to speak, and we're gonna wait an hour. I'm gonna stir this every 15 minutes while it's simmering, and we'll get back to you. Okay, so it's been about an hour and a half. I've let it reduce even more. I wanted to get rid of most of the liquid. And it's now infused into the cabbage, as you can see. Nice thing about this dish is that it actually tastes better the next day. The texture of this is much better than what you get, at least in my opinion, in the jar. I mean, I do eat stuff out of the jar when I'm in a hurry, but during the holidays, why take shortcuts? Here's your Rodkaal, or Danish Red Cabbage, and I hope you enjoy.